Good evening and good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and welcome. Welcome to the Infinite Way, where spirituality meets humanity. My name is Dr. Enolia, and I am so excited to introduce to you our next guest, our new guest. Our guest is Kathryn LaBarbera, who hails from California. Kathryn, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. We're going to talk about one of my favorite topics today.
Yes, we are. We're going to talk about money. But before we do that, I'm going to ask you just please give us a little introduction of yourself.
Okay, so my introduction is kind of varied. My mom said when I was little, she would find me in my room before I could count, putting pennies and stuff into piles. So I always had this love of money and a deep respect for money as well. But I kind of did the normal thing of going to school in the US, going into college, and I wanted to major in business. And I ended up choosing finance, even though my personality is a little bit more marketing. That would have been probably better for my personality, but I went into finance, learning about money. There was a class that they offered of accounting, and people would fail it all over the place. I thought it was very easy. If you put a number here, you put a number here. So it was very balanced for me. And I aced the class. We had a project. It was so easy for me. And I thought, aha, accounting is my thing. I got to have the pleasure of working in my dad's company in the summer. And I came to him and I said, accounting is my thing. And he put me in the accounting department. I wanted to scratch my eyes out. It was so boring to me
Okay.
because putting the number here and putting the number here wasn't really what I was passionate about. I was more about how do you make money? How do you attract money? And that that actually just started my journey with that. How do you make money? How does it come to you? Why do so many people struggle with it? And as I stayed in the family business for a long time, built a career there, had all these exposures to business, but I was always doing something on the side. And it came one day where a friend of mine had a store and she wanted to attract more people to her store. So she wanted to do like little groups at night and have people come in and speak. And she asked me if I would speak. And I said, well, what would you like me to speak about? Because I can speak about so many different things. And she decided that, well, we decided together that I would create a course called Changing Your Relationship with Money. And so that started with I think there was about 12 people, and we'd come every week for 4 weeks, and I put together this curriculum, and I would give them homework, and we played games, and we would really talk about money. I'd have them journal some stuff about it, and I started learning how to kind of teach people
Uh-huh.
about money and how to change the relationship because a lot of people have a very negative relationship with it. So how do you make it positive? And then I started doing the classes out of my house and I started doing the classes online and helping people. I've helped people that were in debt with the IRS get out of that debt, pay off all their bills, and turn around and be able to buy a house. I have
Yeah.
helped someone who was, she said, I'm not going to be able to retire. I don't have enough money. And I helped her just by her taking the class and changing her relationship with money. She was able to get out of debt herself, start saving money. And now she's retired. She goes on lots of cruises with friends, travels all over the world. And her first cruise, she called me and she said, I just want you to know I going on a cruise and I paid cash for it. I paid it all up front because I have the money. So I just love helping people that way because for me, money's easy.
This is so exciting, and I know that this podcast is going to be so beneficial for so many people because one of the things that I've discovered is that when we go through our education, nobody teaches you how to be in relationship with money. You count, you add, you subtract, but they don't talk to you about how money truly grows, how money should be distributed, how
Mhm.
being um, in relationship with money is like an energy, and when we're in scarcity mode, that has an impact. There's so many things that we want to talk to you about. And I just want for our audience to know that you are top leadership at your father's company. And I won't go into it, but your top leadership, you know what you're talking about. And we are so blessed to have you here on this show today. So let's start off with our relationship with money. Is that a good place to start? Our relationship with money. What should that be? What is it?
I actually want to start a little bit before that, and
Okay.
where your relationship with money starts. So
Okay.
working with all these people and coaching them one-on-one. Again, I have worked with individuals, but I've also worked with couples. And when I work with couples, I deal with one person one week, the next person the next week, and then the two of them as a couple the next week. And that's the pattern. So let's say it's the
Okay.
or person one, then person two, then the couple, then person one, then
Oh,
person
look
two,
at that.
and the couple. And that's because money, if you notice, no one talks about it. No one
No.
teaches it. And it's exactly what you said. We learn how to add, subtract, divide, but no one teaches you how to invest, how to save. And so what happens is we make up our blueprint or our strategy of money when we're about 5 years old. So what happens is we start becoming at that around that age conscious of what money is. Why? Because it's like we want something and we see our parents have to pay for it. So we're aware of it. And we hear snippets of their conversations, but they're never talking to us about it or showing us that. So we make up this what money is at 5, but then we don't learn anything different. So what happens is we're all adults running around with a strategy of money from our 5-year-old self. And so you wonder, they say that money is the biggest cause of divorce and stress in relationships. And that's
It's true.
because you have two 5-year-olds that have different strategies around money. One may be a saver, never want to spend and be totally just, frugal. And the other
Okay.
one's like, hey, money's not going to be around forever. I just spend what I got. If I see it in the bank account, like if my ATM works and I take money out, I take money out, not planning. And then you have this conflict of these two people that don't know how to work as a team or as a couple because they don't realize their own strategy as they're from their 5-year-old self.
Okay. Okay. So then here we are. We get our first introduction. And I'll tell you another thing, many 5-year-old selves, they acknowledge that money takes place, but they never see it in their hands. Like some children have the opportunity where parents will give them money, and others, they never have, they're not fortunate enough to have that pass through them. So, in both scenarios, how do you find your balance? How do you find that place where you should save, but you want to be able to spend? How do we come into relationship in a balanced way?
I think that's like asking a question of how do you be happy? There's going to be different
Okay.
answers for each individual. So one is you've got to go back to your 5-year-old self. This is what I take people through in a kind of fun way. And we start going back and remembering what your observations were about each parent. So I remember this one person I was coaching, and she's like, "Yeah, I get all of my how I spend my money from my dad. I pattern after him." I said, "Okay, great." So we worked on her dad first, and we would go through all the memories of things that her dad said, how he would talk about money, anything like that, from when she was around 5 years old. And she would just talk. I would keep asking questions. I would take a ton of notes. And at the end of the session, we kind of went over and looked at all the patterns. No judgment was done because this isn't judging her dad, because who was making the observations? 5-year-old little girl. So it was just
Yeah.
her observations were. There was no problem because she also wasn't privy to everything. She was only getting snippets, right?
Okay.
The next time we did her mother. And we did the same thing, no judgment, but just what were your observations about your mother? And we went through and did the same thing. The next session, we talked about the differences between her mom and her dad, and her eyes were opened. She really patterned money after her mother. And that
Wow.
recognition and the acknowledging that her strategy was from her 5-year-old little girl, once we acknowledged that and saw what the pattern was, it was easy to make different choices. It was
Okay.
it was easy for me to give her games every week. Like, so I said I give homework to give games every week, and what was going to she was going to try things out and be different. So definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. If she was to keep acting and behaving in the way she was behaving, what was she going to get? The same thing. So we had to kind of break that pattern up and have her get out of her pattern of money and into something else. And so we tried different things. And she eventually was like, wow, because her big thing was she had wanted to start a business with some friends. And this was probably 15 years in the past. And she took out a loan of $40,000. And 15 years later, she was still paying on that loan.
Wow. Wow. And that's probably the scenario for a lot of people out there. So I'm going to take you to scarcity consciousness because let's talk, I'm here in Africa, and Africa has a completely different financial system in the respect that you don't even get credit unless you really, really apply for it, and they make you jump through all kinds of hoops. They are really a pay before you attain the service. Whereas the United States is here, take it. We'll let you get in debt. We'll let you get in debt as far as you can go, but then we're going to collect and collect and collect and collect. So here, financially, I find myself like if I walked away from this country, I would have zero debt because I don't owe anything. Everything we do is upfront. Whereas when I was in the United States, just like everybody else, I was in debt. So when the system is set up for you to be in debt, and I think that that's a fair statement to say about the framework, at least in the United States, how do you get out of that scarcity debt mode where it eats you up alive?
I think you have to come with a plan. And here's kind of what I say. How do professional athletes get to where they are?
They work at it. Exercise everything. They everything. They put
They
everything in.
practice.
They practice. Yeah.
They practice. They also have someone who's observing their behavior and correcting it or observing. So when you have a basketball player and they're making free throws, they have to practice. You talk to or you hear anyone interviewed that's a basketball player, how many free throws they take not on the court, but when they're in practice or by themselves, and they do it over and over and over again. But they also have someone who's watching them and saying, hey, you need to put your hand more like this, not like this. And it's little micro movements. It's not sweeping changes. It's
Okay.
little things that make you do something different. So they have a coach. So when you want to make some big changes, sometimes you have to have someone who's observing you, who's on the outside, who can say, okay, great. Try it this way. From here to here. It's not much, but it makes a difference between a 50% free throw shooter and maybe a 75% free throw shooter.
That's a fair statement. Quite fair. So, does it start with the mindset or does it start with the activity or is it a little bit of both?
Again, I think everyone's a little bit different. So one thing that um, I do different exercises in my changing your relationship with money class, and I make it fun. One of the things I've noticed about money is when people talk about it, they get tense. It feels negative. It's a hard conversation to have. So when I have them step back and we start making money fun, they want to do the changes because make it fun. And I always say, hey, there's no pressure on this. I've had clients, I tell them, hey, we're gonna in this week, you're not gonna pay anything with a card. You're gonna pay only with cash. So you go get out this much cash and you pay everything with cash. And we meet the next week and I say, how did it go? And they're like, I didn't do it. I couldn't do it. Okay. It's not a problem. It's just, okay, you didn't do it. And then we explore why they didn't do it. Maybe they were scared. Maybe it was, it felt foreign to them. So we'll kind of delve into that. And other people, I'll give that to them, and they have a ball with it and they're enjoying it and they're noticing what's happening when they're paying with cash. And they're like, oh my God, this was this and this was this. And I went here and I paid cash and I actually got a discount because I paid cash. So they didn't have that realization before, and then they got that with that exercise. So it's kind of hard to say, how do you do it? But that's one thing, is you switch to a cash basis for a while, because I'm going to tell you, physically going into a wallet and taking out cash and handing it over, it's a very different feeling than an impersonal, I just run my card.
I'm sitting here smiling inside because that's completely what I did here,
Mhm.
because they don't use credit cards. They use a debit card or cash, period. And so when you're dealing directly with cash, you think twice about, do I really need this? Is this a nice to have? Or is this a necessity? Okay. And, then you're conscious of, okay, how much cash do I need to make sure that I have left over? So then
Right.
if I know that I want to have a certain amount left over, I'm not so diligent about just willy-nilly spending it any and every place. So I can totally relate to what you're saying. That's really important. And for me, it was a cultural change. So in knowing
Mhm.
that I had to do a cultural change, I was able to do the change all the way around. It's my environment. But wow, doing that in a place where they encourage the credit card to constantly be used, that's a major difference. That's a major difference for people.
When I was in college, you know, going to class or whatever, they had the quad. So you'd walk through quad on the way to class, and they would have tables set up where they would basically let college kids open up credit cards, and
Yeah.
and they would give you cookies or crackers or something to sign up a credit card. And I signed up for some credit cards. Like one of the ones I signed up for was a gas card for Chevron. I still have that card today. I still use it. But what happens to a lot of people if they don't have discipline around money is they're like, oh, free money. And you learn to just use the card and not think about it. So I got a really good piece of advice from my father when I was younger and I was around the college age. And he said, never put anything on your card that you can't pay for it when the bill comes. He goes, always pay your card. A lot of people don't get that advice. So I knew kids in the dorm with me that would go on campus, get these credit cards, and then they would come back and they would have this or that. They'd buy clothes or a stereo, or they would go out and they would pay for dinner and they would do all these things with this credit card. And pretty soon the credit card was maxed out. And that's actually not a good thing. If you,
No.
yeah, because what would they do? They would pay the minimum. Or they would skip a payment or whatever. And that's not good because that skipping a payment messes with your credit. But if you pay the minimum, the credit card is normally designed for you to have to pay that back over the course of decades.
Yes.
So I always equate it to this way. If I buy it now and I'm paying for it later, I have these ties to the past. Now, do I remember what I'm paying for? No, because usually it's something that I consume. Let's say I buy I don't know, a new phone. Okay. After a while, that phone breaks. I have to get another phone, but I'm still paying on that phone that I bought 2 years ago. And so
Yes.
these strings that go to the past go back to my friend who did the business, and she had the $40,000 in a loan. And I asked her, do you like, we uncovered that she was afraid to move forward with something else because she had this energetic string to the past of that $40,000 debt that she was still paying him.
Wow. Wow. I'm sitting here thinking that the best credit card that I owned was American Express. Why? Because you had to pay it out before the next bill came. You paid it month by month. So consciously made me pay for the things that I was acquiring that month. And then I never overextended because I knew I had to pay it by the end of the month. So I may not have had it at the moment, but I did have it. And then I never
Right.
exceeded that because I knew I had to pay it at the end of the month, or by the end of the month. So, that was some self-discipline in terms of that.
Yes.
But the other thing too is because I was a math major, I'm always calculating and I keep a running total on what I spend. It's out of habit because I was a math major. And so that running total is going, I'm like, no, 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 no. I've already met my limit, but people don't do that. They don't think about what their limit is. They don't keep just like a little running total in the back of their mind. And I go, okay, I spent this over here, this over here, this over here. That totals about this. I think I need to stop. I know I need to stop.
Yeah, yeah, because again, it's an unconscious thing. You use that card and you're not thinking about, yeah, but I spent $120 yesterday. And now I'm spending $50 today. And now I'm doing this, and now I'm doing this. And it adds up quickly. And pretty soon you get the credit card, but it's like, how did I spend that much? Because the card is unconscious. People go into this unconscious mode, whether they get a card when they're in college or they get a card when they're 45, and you just get a credit card and or a debit card, and it's just ding, 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 ding. And you're not calculating because a lot of us are not math majors. So we're not calculating what we're spending. The cash exercise that I put people on is I say, okay, great. And we come up with how much cash do you need for the week? Okay, so with all the things, putting gas in your car, groceries, um, going out to dinner, Starbucks, coffee, going to a coffee shop, any of those things. And we come up with, and I say, how much do you think you spend? Okay, an average week. So they'll say, okay, it's $300. Great. Go get $300 out in cash, and that's all you can spend. And what happens is a lot of times they'll run out of money before the week is up. And we make an agreement. So let's say that we're meeting every Monday. Well, what happens right before Monday, the weekend? So if they start spending too much money on Monday after we talk, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and they run out of money, they don't have no money for the weekend. And
Wow.
they get shocked. And they're like, how did I go through $300? And it's because they're going from they're starting to switch from the unconscious spending to the conscious spending.
Okay. So that's a beautiful segue into help. Help me make money. Help me manifest money. That's what you're getting from them. So now you've given beautiful tips right here and now in terms of how to be conscious of it. And once they start exercising that consciousness, then how do you get on the other side of this? How does one start manifesting when it just seems like it's an endless downward spiral of I can't seem to make enough?
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Does does the universe or God, whatever you believe in, does the universe give you everything that you want?
Yes.
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 Okay, so if the answer is yes, then the universe is giving you whatever you want. Why are you not making money then? If you want money, why are you not making money?
It's either the self-doubt, scarcity mindset, behind all of the trust that I say that I have, I'm in fear, and that fear keeps me in the patterns that I'm in. That fear keeps me in that lack of self-discipline because I think that I'm not going to get it. So I just have to have it now. And I don't have that self-discipline that stops me, that just basically says, I don't need this. It's okay. I can get it later. It will still be there. It's not running away from anything. So I think that it's a collective of all of those things. But you tell me.
Well, so here's the thing. Here's the concept. We say we want money. We say we want it, but what are our actions?
Our actions are opposite of everything that we say. Our actions are, I'm in fear, I'm scarce, I'm afraid I'm not going to have enough. Maybe I should overdo it here because maybe I won't have enough next week. And that whole total mindset and lack of trust of self and that lack of discipline of self just ruins everything.
And I think you take it to a different example. So let's say we have someone who says, I want to find a romantic relationship. I want to create a romantic relationship. I want it. I want it. I want it. And then their friends call and say, hey, let's go out and let's go to this place so we can meet people. Oh, no, no, no. I'm tired. I'm going to stay at home. And okay, 2 days later, someone else calls and says, hey, let's go to this place where we can meet other people. No, 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 I'm too tired. I'm gonna stay home. Well, after a while, what do the friends do?
They stop asking you
Why?
because you never want to go out. You say that you want to go out, but you act opposite of what you're saying.
Right. So let's think of the universe as our friend.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And we say, I want money, I want money, I want money. But then we unconsciously spend money. We we make decisions that are probably not in our best interest financially. But we're saying, I want money, I want money, I want money, but our actions don't speak. So the universe gets confused. They're like, well, does she want money or does she not want money? Like she says she wants it, but she's not doing it. So we start putting the actions to align with our words.
Okay.
So here's the great thing about getting money is you have to start showing people or showing the universe that you want money and that you'll be responsible with it.
I like that word, responsible.
Yeah, being responsible with money is very different. And I always here's another exercise. This one was really fun.
Okay.
So I told people, I said, you want to make yourself attractive to money. So I want you, and we use a lot of I use a lot of cash in my class, meaning people bring cash because it's a tactile thing. And that's another thing I said earlier when you do your cash thing is you actually have to hand the cash over, you get change back. You're having an exchange, right? Between
Right.
another person. When you do a card, okay, you swipe it in a machine, you never have any contact with a person.
It's true.
And a lot of people, they'll swipe their card. They don't even know how much they spent with that transaction. With money, you do. So I told the group, I said, okay, we're going to pretend like we are dating money and we're going to make ourselves attractive to money. So I want you to take all the cash out of your wallet and I want you to organize it in a way that it's like creating a like, I want you to have a good looking wallet. I want you to have your cash in there, line them up all in order. So you do like the big bills down to the little bills. They're all facing the same way. There's no creases in them. You put them nicely in your wallet so they're happy. You create this environment where money wants to come to you. Money wants to come play with you. Money feels appreciated.
I like that. I like
So
that.
So we put money, we have this happy atmosphere. So I told him, I want you to date money. And I had this one girl who took her money on a date.
Okay.
So she actually went out, she dressed up. She dressed up, put her makeup on, did her hair, dressed up, and she took herself and money out on a date. And she sat there and in a restaurant. She must have looked nuts, but she was like talking to money like, I'm so happy you're here. I want you to feel comfortable. I want you
Uh-huh.
to know that, and she created the space for money. She said it was one of the most fun things she had done in a long time. It was very changing, like it changed her to where she had fun. Because remember, I go back to most people don't have fun. They get serious as soon
No.
as we get money. They shut down. It's like, oh, it's so negative. Well, If you are going to date someone and they're negative all the time, or let's say that you are in a relationship and your partner is negative all the time, do you want to be around that person?
No, no, you frighten it off. I love this. And I'm going to tell you why I love this so much is because everything has energy. I don't care whether you believe it or not. I'm telling you, everything has energy from the inanimate objects. And why does it have energy? Because it was made from somebody, so that person's energy imbued into it. It has energy itself from the physical material that it was made from. Every single thing has energy. And you're basically saying that, like a magnet, you can either attract it or repel it. How do you treat it? Do you acknowledge the fact that it has energy? Do you acknowledge the fact that the energy can be attracting? There's so many things that you're saying on so many levels. I absolutely love what you're saying. So, no, I don't think she's crazy. I think actually she was right on point. And to be able to view money in the respect of the energy that we bring to it and it brings to us, and how we are in relationship with it and how we match it and how we treat it. Because you're right, if you treat it by crumbling it up and throwing it in your pocket, or crumbling it up and just jamming it into your wallet, and you exactly what why would it want to come to you? I love the idea of what you just shared.
Giving you all my great tips today, so I'm going to give you another one. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
This is to, one thing about attraction, right, is to have appreciation.
Yes.
So, one thing that I've noticed people do is people will be very nonchalant, especially with coins. Okay, so they'll just be like, "Oh, whatever," and they'll just take coins and they'll throw them in their car somewhere, or they'll just, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care about coins. If you don't care about a penny or a dime or a quarter, which is in the US, I don't know what it is in the country that your listeners are coming from.
Sandra, yes.
If you don't care about coins, why would the universe trust you with the paper money? Paper money is more valuable. So we're now going to start appreciating coins. So this is where we want to walk around places with awareness. And whenever we get money, we find a penny, which is the lowest currency in the US. We find a penny, we're going to pick it up, and we are going to send the universe a little appreciation. And the appreciation, I call it the happy dance. Okay. And everyone's going to have their own happy dance. So I do this. Okay. And I kind of wiggle myself and I go down and I come back and I'm like, happy dance. Because I'm appreciative for that penny. And everyone has different happy dances. You can do this, but you stop. Now you are going to look silly to other people who don't understand it. But the universe is going to look at it and be like, ah, she's now appreciating the small things, the small currency. We do this. And so in my class, one of the things, the homework is you're going to do the happy dance every time you get money, or every time you find money. And it's not expected money, it's unexpected money. If you find a coin, if all of a sudden money comes to you in the mail, if someone takes you out to dinner, like they call you and they say, hey, I'd like to take you out to dinner and I'm going to pay. That's a form of receiving money. So we're receiving money, but we are telling the universe we're happy and appreciative for this money that they get, a coin here, a coin there, a coin there. What happens is once we start finding the coins start getting more frequent.
Yes.
Money starts coming to you because we're accepting it. We're grateful for it. We're joyful when we get it. And the universe says, aha. The messaging to the universe is money makes us happy. The universe wants us to be happy. So now more money starts flowing to us.
I like that. I like that. And that is the basic relationship, the relationship with money.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if we take it to the next level, we have money. we're in relationship with money, but we can't seem to get to the abundant place where we want because we just don't understand the different uses of money. Okay. We don't understand how to invest. We don't understand how to allow to let go so that it flows back in because there's a certain amount of, well, I believe that there's a certain amount that as you give, you receive, that it isn't about hoarding it. It isn't about I can't spend it and having that fear of I can't let it go, but that there is a divine flow, a yin yang. And as you let go and as certain things you take care of, it flows back to you. What are your thoughts around that?
I have lots of thoughts.
Okay.
So, um, let's go back to the unconscious spending. Okay,
Okay.
the card, swiping the card. And I said we're going to use cash now. Okay. Now, the cash is we actually have an interaction where we give cash and we get change. Okay. So here's my little stick figures. Okay. So we
Yes.
have two people. I'm going to draw this for you. So we give cash to this person.
Okay.
This person receives the cash.
Yes.
They then give cash back to us and we receive the change.
Ah, infinite. I love it.
Infinity. Okay. And what does infinity stand for?
It's never ending.
Never ending. Okay. And so what one of the things that people don't realize is what is money? All money is energy. And when we have the exchange going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth like this, it's never going to end. What happens is when we do a card, it just comes out, but there's no exchange. Now, does that mean you can never use a card? Absolutely not. But we've got to form that energy exchange again where we actually know when we are giving a card, we're giving money and then we're receiving money. Like there has to be that energy exchange. And once you get that energy flow back, that infinite flow back, we're telling the universe also that we're happy and we're appreciative. We make a party in our wallet for our money. So the money wants, like, who doesn't want to go to a good party?
No, who does
Right?
it?
The money,
Exactly.
right? Money wants to come to the party. So now we've changed the environment for money. We've changed our appreciation for money. And now we understand that money is a give and take and a flow, and it's an energetic exchange. And once you get that energetic exchange flowing back and forth, money starts to change and the universe starts giving you more money.
I love that. Even down to how you house your money. For all of you who have those crappy wallets that are falling apart and you just go, "Oh, I don't see the point." Well, I see the point. I
Yeah.
see. Wow. So what you're really expressing here that you've done so eloquently is that you've talked about a total full court press on mind, body, spirit, really, of how we're looking at money. And so the
Mhm.
physical piece of it is our exchange, how we treat it and how we receive it and what we do with it. And then the mind part of it is just basically how we are in relationship with it, what we think of it, what we're projecting onto it. Because, like you said, most of us are not happy. We're always miserable because we feel like we don't have enough and we're not grateful. We're not happy. We don't date our money. We really
Right.
don't date our money. And I'm excited because, like, I got a new wallet. I do actually put everything in very neatly and everything. And I love that because I'm in a cash based society. To be in a cash based society, to bring your awareness to noticing exactly how much you are spending, to put a budget in place in terms of really checking and stop doing this endless source on a card, and to put the card down sometimes and not use the card for a week and go to a cash week so that you can start understanding where the discipline needs to kick in. I i see the totality of it. It's beautiful.
You said a very important word. You said a very bad word for people.
Oh, uh-oh. What did I say?
Do you remember what you said? You were talking about money, but you said a very bad word.
Okay.
Budget.
Ah, okay. Why is
Okay, so
budget a bad word?
you tell me, why is budget a bad word?
Okay, I already see it. It's finite. It says that I'm not allowed to do this and I'm not allowed to do that. And in saying that I'm not allowed, then what I do is I stop the infinity flow of what you just shared in terms of the exchange. So it's not the fact that I have to budget, I have to be aware of how much I need for a week and then allocate that awareness and then allow myself to meet the goal that I set. Is that a correct way of saying it?
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you how, and people don't realize it, but they equate budget like a diet.
You're not allowed to have but certain amount.
It's restricted. I'm not allowed. I'm going to do it for a short period of time, but I'm going to go back to the old way. So when people want to lose weight and they want to keep it off forever, it's not a diet because a diet is temporary. And then it's a lifestyle change, right? You hear people say it all the time. And the people that are overweight say, I'm resisting it because I don't want to change my lifestyle. I like eating, or I like this, or I like that. And once they go in and they make the conscious decision to make a lifestyle change and to eat healthier and things like that, they weight comes off and they can keep it off.
Yes. Yes,
A
that's true.
budget, yeah, a budget is like a diet. It is a temporary thing of trying to, let's say, lose weight or trying to stop the expenses or make more money. But you hear all the time about these people that win the lottery. They
Hmm.
win the lottery and they get millions of dollars that they never had that kind. Let's say that they were someone who made $50,000 a year, and now all of a sudden they have $10 million. Most lottery winners are dead or broke within 5 years.
Why? Why is that? Because they never had a relationship with money. So you know what? That goes out as fast as it came in. And then because there's no balance, no discipline, no is that am I hitting it up right?
Their unconscious says money is not our thing. And so what happens is money just dissipates because the universe also says, but yeah, this person can't handle money. This person doesn't appreciate money. This person doesn't have a party in their wallet with money. This person doesn't date money. This is not a person that can handle money. And the unconscious part of ourselves will put us back into where we feel safe. So a lot of people feel safe without money.
Okay. Okay.
When you change that, okay, so how do we change? So the question is, how do we change?
Right.
Okay. So it is a mind, body, spirit thing with change. Just like if you wanted to lose weight and keep it off, you would change a lot of things. You would change, you don't want to have someone who's emotionally eating, right? We're eating to
Right.
make our emotions feel better. We want to choose healthy foods. We want to exercise. We want to do the things that put into place that help us to have a healthy body. But a healthy body isn't by itself. You have to change your mental state and you have to change your spiritual state, your
Right.
unconscious and your conscious. It's the same thing with money. It's really hard to do on your own because you've been patterned. Humans, we do patterns over and over and over again. So it's have someone help you, have someone guide you, have someone help you change, just like the basketball player that I used at the beginning. Again, it went from this to this with the position of his hand, and he was able to make more free throws.
Correct.
Money, it's not changing a lot. It's not making these huge sweeping changes where you're not going to be the same person. It's making small little things that are going to make the difference. So it's some of the things I've said. It's going in though and looking at what is your mental state around money, where noticing where you go to, your how you think about money on the energetic level, and then actually what you do, which is on the physical level.
So I want to grab this because I know we're coming up on an hour soon.
Mhm.
I want to talk a little bit about investments because what you said is really fundamentally true. A lot of people don't know how to invest. And now that we're coming up to cryptocurrency, this whole other facet of how money is being exchanged, and they're in fear of it. How do we grasp and introduce investing in a knowledgeable way so that we can be in relationship with money on all facets and all dimensions?
I That's possibly a whole nother topic in of itself.
Okay,
So
I reserve the right to call you back.
right. So there's a couple steps you have to do first, I think, before you become a very avid investor. Okay. So one thing is you shouldn't be investing if you can't meet your basic needs. Okay. Your
Mhm.
basic needs are, food, shelter, a little bit of entertainment, that's kinds of things. So if you're struggling to pay your bills, investing is probably not the wisest thing first. Okay. And so we would talk about in this other topic, which is income versus expenses. So how do you adjust that? But what I want to say about this first is the very, very first thing you should do is to get out of debt.
Okay.
There's two kinds of debt, good debt and bad debt. Okay. So bad debt is the things with the strings to the past. Okay. So I buy it and I put it on a credit card and then I'm not paying it forever. And I keep having these strings. It's like having a ball and chain that I keep dragging with me because it's something I bought 2 years ago and I never paid it off. So I'm paying interest on it. So I'm paying the credit card company for something that I bought 2 years ago. And I don't even remember what I bought because just
Right.
accumulates. So you want to get out of bad debt. Bad debt is ties to the past. Good debt is things that you're consuming right now. A mortgage on a home is good debt. You're living
Okay.
in a house and you're enjoying that house right now. And you're because you're consuming it, that's good debt. A car is a good debt. A car can get you to and from work. And so buying a car and having a car payment, as long as you can pay it off each month, is good debt. I would pay off a car before I pay off a house because houses give more money. So if you can have no car payment, that's better. I am not proposing that you get a car that is above your means, meaning a car
Mhm.
that is the car payment is so high, it's you're suffering, right? So get a car within
Mhm.
your means and get a car payment within your means. But if you can buy a car, and I think we would talk about that in the investments part. What do you buy a used car or a new car? Because that's a whole thing
Or
there.
a lease car, because some people are proponents of lease cars.
Right, right. So if it's something that you can write off on your taxes, that's probably good debt. If you can't, that's bad debt. That's a good way to do it. So the first thing you do is you get out of debt and you start living where when you want to consume it, you can pay for it. Okay, so you don't go into debt to go out to dinner. You pay for dinner when you eat the dinner.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's the first thing you do is you get out of the bad debt game because you don't want to pay other people for the use of the money. The next thing you do is you save or have a cushion of about 6 months worth of money that you can pay all your bills with. So you kind of have this in reserve, as people call it a safety net or whatever, but you have 6 months worth of where you could, if something happens, let's say someone lost their job or whatever, you could last 6 months. So you have time and you don't have to be stressed, but you have time to solve that issue.
Okay.
Once you do that, then you start accumulating money, and the excess money you have is what you use for investment. Okay, so
Ah,
3-step process. You don't want to invest when you have bad debt. You don't want to invest when you have no safety net. So once you have those two things in place, then you start going into, okay, now I'm earmarking this for investment. A lot of people can actually get out of debt pretty quickly. They just don't think they can, or they don't choose to get out of debt.
okay. And you know what? This is a good place to pause, but I reserve the right to ask you to come back so we can continue the conversation. And the other thing that I would love for you to do is, if you're willing to share your contact information, if you're even willing to hold some of those classes, You know what? I'm going to ask my audience if you are interested in one of the classes or the classes that Kathryn is talking about. Please leave a comment. Leave a comment on the YouTube channel. Leave a comment on when it goes live stream. And you know what I'll do is I'll share back with you the demand, and maybe you'd be willing to have one of those classes. It would be phenomenal. I'd attend because I just never looked at money the ways that you did, and I think that we all have something to learn there. Any thoughts or comments that you want to share?
I would actually love to do that. And I would love to do the classes online. The classes I held before was in person. And that's, that's just different. And that's hard because I'm in Los Angeles. Not everyone lives in Los Angeles, but I was doing this, out of, I just, I love it. So I don't charge much, but to do it online so people all over could benefit from it. The other thing is I like to make my classes fun. I really don't like going to classes where it's like, beat you up or whatever. It's it's let's have fun, let's learn, let's make money a light, fun, happy topic, not this thing that depresses us or we turn into Eeyore, the character from Winnie the Pooh that was always depressed and always sad. I don't like that. I'd rather be, Tigger and bouncing all around and make money light. Because when we talk about money and it's a light topic, the universe takes notice, and then the universe is like, okay, let's let's start throwing money that person's way.
I love it. Thank you so, so much. And anyone who expresses interest, I will definitely pass it on to Kathryn. When you hold your classes, I will advertise with you because people need to learn about money. This is so important. And to get a person of your caliber in order to teach and share this type of information is just phenomenal. Kathryn, thank you so much. And is there any social media that people can check out that you'd like to share?
You know what? I am going to be working on a new website. So not at this point, but that's going to get me going into something to where people can come to me. I used to have some social media, but we'll, I'll make sure that that's one of the things I do so people can contact me.
That's okay because anyone who contacts this comments on this YouTube site can get in contact with you. I'll pass it through, no problem at all. So, Kathryn, thank you, Kathryn LaBarbera. Thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your expertise and the knowledge and the wisdom that we all so definitely need.
And
And
thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on and for doing this, because I think work like you do is very important. It's all connected, whether we're working on money or relationships or career or anything that we do, just working on ourselves. Everything is connected and it helps.
And I want to let everybody know also that you are thinking about putting out a podcast. Do you want to make a little comment about that?
Yes, I'm going to put on a podcast. I haven't finalized the name, but I think it's going to be called Becoming Unhinged. I was accused of being unhinged at one point because I was emotionally expressing myself at the office. And I've gone through a huge transformation, and all the things that I've done. I'm just going to talk about each one. Part of it is doing the money classes and things like that. And that would be a segment on everyone gets to share their gifts. If it comes easy to you, it's a gift. Share it. You know, I think people have told me before, if you struggle with it, that's what you should teach. I don't agree at all. I think it should be the things that come easy, because that's a gift. It's a gift to you. It's someone else is struggling with it and you can teach them or lead them. So just sharing my journey and all the different things that I've done to come to where I am today, the struggles I've gone through, and then the breakthroughs I've had.
Excellent. And I think that that would be phenomenal. So we're going to keep you posted and I will share when you are out on your podcast. And I'm so grateful to have you on here. And you know that you're always welcome back. And I do want to have you for a part two. So thank you. Thank you very much. That's Kathryn LaBarbera. So I hope you like this episode. I hope that you learned a lot. I definitely did. I want you to share this information, share it all over the world. There's so many of us that don't have a relationship with money. And I think that this topic is truly, truly important. So share. And if you like this episode, please do subscribe, and join us back for our next episode. So thank you again, and we'll see you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.